All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome. We are here for Moths, Mountains to the Sea. Very excited to have you tonight. Hopefully, we're going to have some really great things for you to see this evening. We have a number of people who are joining us tonight so that we can share some really, really cool moths from various parts of our state. I'm really excited to share the joy of moths with all of you. So we're going to kick things off by just doing a little bit of kind of intro information before we get into the actual moth viewing. So I'm going to share my screen here in just a moment. Just before we do that, I'm Chris Goforth. I'm the head of citizen science at the North Carolina Museum of Natural Sciences in Raleigh. I'm going to get things kicked off, but I'm here with a number of other people from the organization Science Across North Carolina tonight, and we'll have everyone introduce themselves in just a few minutes. But we're just going to introduce you to the moths, introduce the rest of our team, and then we'll get to sharing some really cool things that are coming to our lights tonight. If anyone wants to follow along at home, feel free to turn on a light outside now. And if you want to get some photos of some cool moths, it would be really great to have some people sharing things that you're seeing at home, or, sharing this experience by doing this at home as well. So give me just one moment to get my little presentation up here. And we'll go ahead and get started. One of the two.
Hey, Chris, we can't hear you.
All right, can you hear me now?
Now I can hear you.
Okay, perfect. All right, hold on, let me back up a little bit. Okay, so sorry about that, everyone. Sometimes technical things don't work very well. Let me back up just a couple of slides here. So moths are animals. They are insects. So they have the same characteristics that other insects have. So all their insect relatives have these characteristics. They have 3 body segments: a head, a thorax, and an abdomen. They have 6 legs. They have 2 antennae. And most moths have 4 wings. There are a few adult moths that have lost wings, particularly females in a few groups have lost wings. But if they have wings, they're going to have 4. So you can see here there's 2 that are kind of in the front, 2 that are in the back, and those are what they use to fly. Moths are also members of the order Lepidoptera. So if you're dividing insects up into big groups, you have things like the beetles and the ants, bees, and wasps. Butterflies and moths both belong to Lepidoptera together, and so they share some characteristics. One is that they have scales on their wings. And so if you look at their wings, they're covered in this kind of flaky material that brushes off really easily if you touch them. And they've got overlapping scales on their wings. And that is one of the main characteristics that tells you you're looking at a moth or a butterfly. They also have a proboscis, which is a coiled mouth part. So they've got very highly adapted mouth parts. So rather than chewing, they are sucking. So they basically made their mouth part into a straw that they're using to suck things like nectar. Some moths drink rotting animal fluids, some slurp fluids off of scat. There are some moths that drink some really kind of nasty things, but a lot of them drink nectar, and they're using that long straw-like mouth part to sip liquids. So I do want to tell just a few little bits about moths versus butterflies. So there are kind of a set of sort of rules that you can follow to tell whether you're looking at a moth or a butterfly. They're not foolproof. There are characteristics that you need more than one of these characteristics to be sure that you're looking at a moth or a butterfly. But just to kind of go over the basics here, moths tend to fly at night, which is why we're out here in the dark doing this program. And butterflies tend to fly during the day. There are definitely day flying moths and night flying butterflies. So this is not a foolproof rule. We have moths that tend to be kind of drab in colorations. They tend to blend in with their environment. They're browns and grays and greens, they blend really well rather than being big and showy like a lot of the butterflies are. Butterflies tend to be more colorful. There are definitely colorful moths though, and hopefully we'll see some good examples tonight. Moths tend to have either straight or feathered antennae, while butterflies have either clubbed or hooked antennae. This is the best characteristic in North Carolina to tell the two apart. Because there are basically no moths that have hooked antennae. There are a very, very few moths that have kind of thickened hooked antennae, but we don't really have them here in North Carolina. So if you can get a good look at the antennae, this is going to be the one to use to tell the two apart. And then moths tend to either hold their wings flat over their backs or tent-like over their backs, while butterflies either hold their wings kind of out to the side or pressed together up over their backs when they're at rest. There are a lot of species in this group. So Lepidoptera, the butterflies and moths contain a lot of species. And so worldwide, there's about 136 families of butterflies and moths, 160,000 species of moths. So that's a huge, huge number of species. That's just so many species of moths. And then in contrast, there's about 17,500 species of butterflies. That's still a lot of species, but it's not 160,000 species. So the moths vastly outnumber butterflies when we're looking at the number of species worldwide. This is also true in North Carolina. So moths, we have about 77 families here and just under 3,000 species, which is still a huge number of species just in our state. And then butterflies, we have 6 families and 177 species. So this trend that we see worldwide applies to North Carolina as well. So there's a lot of reasons why we should actually care about moths. The really, really important one is that moths are such important food for so many other things. So if you care about birds or bats or fish, there are moths that we need to appreciate as well, because these animals are eating moths in pretty big numbers. Moths are also important pollinators for a lot of species. Flowers that are pretty much exclusively pollinated by moths tend to be white and open at night. There are some exceptions, and there are definitely day-flying moths that will pollinate other flowers as well. There are some situations where you have a moth and a plant really closely linked so that the two entirely depend on each other. The yucca moth is a really good example of this. There's a species of yucca and a species of yucca moth that absolutely have to have each other to exist. So if one goes away, both of them go away. There are also really good examples of moths being pest control agents. Probably the very best example of biocontrol, or one of the best, is the cactus moth in Australia. People planted prickly pear in Australia to try to grow cochineal insects, which produce red dye. And the prickly pear just went nuts in Australia and grew to fill just thousands and thousands of acres. It was a really huge problem. So they imported a moth from Argentina and let it loose, and it pretty much eradicated all the prickly pear in the country. So there's definitely examples of moths that act as pest control agents. We do have the ailanthus webworm in our state. It has actually followed the invasive tree of heaven plant into our state. It didn't used to be here. And it does help control tree of heaven a little bit, not as well as it probably could. But this is a really beautiful moth that we might have a chance to see tonight. Moths can also really great environmental indicators. We can say something pretty important about environments if we have particular moths in them. So we're looking at, again, those moth and plant interactions. There are some moths that are actually beneficial to the environment. This one is a little bit tricky. This is a waxworm, which is actually highly invasive for honeybees. So honeybee keepers don't like this moth because it destroys honeycomb, but it also destroys plastic. And so there are people that are looking at this moth species as a way to maybe break down plastics that are in our environment. And then, of course, we do have moths that are kind of the bad moths. So there are ones that are crop pests, a number of them. There are ones that sting as caterpillars. So they actually have venom that they can inject into your skin, causes some pain. There are ones that eat fibers, particularly things like wool. There are species that get into our stored foods. So you can have pantry moths and moths that infect grain silos. So there's definitely some moths that we don't necessarily like as people, but they're vastly outnumbered by moths that either do really great things for the environment or are just innocuous as far as we're concerned. So the number of species that are problematic are actually really, really small. Okay, I'm going to very quickly go over a few characteristics for if you want to ID adult moths, things to look for. One is the patterns on the wings. So any kind of spots, lines, just these patterns. Like this is a Hebrew moth. I love this moth. But they've got that standard pattern that all of them have. The wing shape can be really important. So this is a scoop wing. It's got this big scoop cut out of the wing. The body shape. This is a looper. They've got these little kind of mohawks on their backs and this shape of wings pretty much consistently. The mouth parts can be really useful. So these are actually the mouth parts on this moth. They wrap all the way around the front of the head. So they've got some pretty crazy mouth parts going. Colors are, of course, really important. Where they have hair on their bodies can be really important. The size, so size differences can be really huge. Like Luna moths are huge, and then this is an elegant grass veneer, so they're very small. And so all those different things you can use to identify the things that you are looking at. But there's a few ID resources you can take advantage of as well. These two field guides, the Peterson field guides to moths of the southeastern and northeastern North America, are both really, really phenomenal books if you're a field guide kind of person. So these are really great. But there's also apps that you can use, including one that we're really encouraging people to use for what we're calling North Carolina Moth Week. It is iNaturalist. iNaturalist can act both as an identification tool, but also a citizen science platform so that you can share your moth observations with scientists that want to see your data. Seek is a more kid-friendly version of iNaturalist. A lot of people prefer Seek to iNaturalist. You can share your photos through Seek as well, but you got to turn on one little setting. And then the app LEPS by Field Guide, I really love. It's a really great app for identifying moths. Also free. You take a photo, it will tell you what it thinks it is, just like iNaturalist or Seek. Okay, so we're going to introduce our group here in just one moment, but I do want to share that, this is National Moth Week. It goes through Sunday. And so this is an event. It's actually an international event where they want people to go out, find moths, take pictures of them, share your sightings online. So it's all about moth appreciation and just kind of learning what's out there and, kind of what we have and what's important in our areas. And then we, as people who run Science Across North Carolina, we would love to reward you for participating with this really awesome moth patch. So we will mail you a embroidered moth badge. This one glows in the dark. It's amazing. And so we would love for you to try to earn this. All you have to do is take 10 photos or more of moths. You'll submit them to iNaturalist. And then when you're done, you'll tell us at scienceacrossnc.org. There's just a really quick little form to fill out. And then we will mail you one of these patches as a thank you for participating with us this year. All right, so we're going to introduce the rest of the team tonight. So I am here with a number of other people. As I said earlier, I'm Chris. I am based in Raleigh. I am at Prairie Ridge Eco Station. which is an outdoor facility for the museum. And so we are excited to share the things that we have out here, but I have a number of other people helping me tonight. So let me call on someone. I'm going to call on Jonathan to introduce himself. And then Jonathan, if you can popcorn over to someone else when you're done, we'll get everyone going. You're on mute.
It's my first time on Zoom. My apologies. Now, my name is Jonathan Marshall. I'm the Director of Education at the North Carolina Arboretum in Asheville. I live in Black Mountain. And so I've got my black light set up right over here. And I've had it up last night and got a pretty good diversity of moths. So hoping that happens as well. So we'll just kind of see how things go, but excited to be here and glad everybody's tuning in. And I will popcorn to Paige.
Hey folks, my name is Paige Engelbrechtson. I'm a lead education specialist for the Highlands Biological Foundation. Tonight I'm out at our Highlands Biological Station, pretty much trap lining the outdoor lights on the buildings out here. But I have also set up a giant cotton sheet with one black light on it, just to see what we get, because one of our classes this summer got some good stuff out here. So keep your fingers crossed for me. And I'll go to Adam.
So we're actually using two cameras. So if you want to switch to our other one, if you don't mind. This is I have a macro camera set up looking at our mercury vapor bulb, which is a really large, basically a street lamp that has a wide spectrum of light, and so it attracts all kinds of things to it. I also have a black light under it, and here you can see me and Sarah, Adam and Sarah here at Yatesville County Park. We're just outside of Raleigh, North Carolina, in Wake County. And then I'm switch my view around. You can see there's our big mercury vapor bulb. There's my other camera, and then the black light. And while we were waiting, this little guy kept flying around. It's a European hornet. And I caught it just so it wouldn't bother us too much. I'll let it go when we're done. And I can't see the other participants to know who else to switch to.
Yikes. Yikes.
I'll pass it to Melissa.
Hello, I am here. I'm Melissa Dowland. I'm the manager of teacher education at the North Carolina Museum of Natural Sciences in Raleigh, here with Mike Dunn, former museum employee and North Carolina Botanical Garden employee. And we are in Pittsboro, North Carolina. And we have a couple black lights set up on the back side and the front side of our house. And we have some friends over to help us spot all of the different things that come to the lights tonight. And if I switch my camera around, I'll show you what we've got right off the bat here. We have a really cool looking tussock moth. There's two that look very similar, like this guy here. So I'm not sure which species, but sycamore or banded tussock, we think is one of those two. So with that, I will pass it to Julie.
Hello from New Jersey. I'm from North Carolina. My name is Julie Hall, and I'm an education specialist with Prairie Ridge Eco Station, part of the North Carolina Museum of Natural Sciences. And okay, I've got my friend, my best friend from high school, Sarah, pointing to a lacewing. And let's see, oh, a lightning bug up there, or firefly. And I'll show you some other things pretty soon. Okay. And okay, thanks. Who else is there? Let's see. Sorry, Chris, I don't have the list.
I can go. Hi, I'm Cindy. I'm the manager of the Natural Center at the museum. I'm here near downtown Raleigh with the curator invertebrates, Bronwyn Williams. She's sitting right there. I'm gonna flip so we just have a basic setup with a light, and it's kind of breezy. So our sheet has been flapping around a lot. But we got a bunch of moths last night. So hopefully tonight we'll get some more. So Chris, back to you.
All right, so I've switched, hold on, my camera here so that I can show you my setup here. I've got, whoop, doesn't want to focus at the moment. Oh, hold on, I got my clip-on lens. Here we go. So I've got 3 different lights that are on this little walkway into our building at Prairie Ridge. So this is what I've got. These are these little UV bulbs that you can buy that are made by entomologists, same one that Jonathan has. So they're pretty great. So this is what I'm going to be using tonight. And I'm excited to be out here at Prairie Ridge in Raleigh. And I want to introduce you to Jennifer, who is going to be actually kind of controlling who talks when tonight. So if Jennifer, if you would like to introduce yourself, that would be great.
Hi, everyone. I am the citizen science educator at Prairie Ridge, so I work with Chris. And I am going to try to keep everybody organized tonight. So when somebody has something awesome to show, I'm going to try to make sure you get to see it. And this is fun for me, too, because I get to sit in the air-conditioned comfort tonight.
For anyone that's not in Raleigh, it is quite warm today. So being inside is definitely nice. All right, so what do we have up first to look at, Jennifer?
We're going to start with Paige. She's got some fun things that have come to her light. Paige, are you ready?
I am. A good opportunity to stop wandering around the meadow and actually get back to the pavilion. So one of the things that I find really useful when trying to look at small things at night that are going to be flying around otherwise, or even during the day, are just general bug jars. So I've kind of been snagging a few things as they come along. And right now, one of the things that we have out in our grass area, we were talking about before the live stream started, are fireflies. Chris was mentioning it's a little late out in Raleigh for fireflies. We've just got a few stragglers hanging on over here. But it was very good practice for my aerial net technique to try and catch these guys. The kids put me to shame on this all the time. So, we also have a leafhopper who got caught up in the sweep for that. Poor guy. But once we're done featuring them, I'll let them go. I'm really curious. We have synchronous and blue ghost fireflies out here in Highlands, which I know are infamous over in the Great Smokies area. So if y'all have any of those in your area, I don't think they're going anymore, so to speak. But definitely would love to hear about your experiences with them.
Paige,
Do you know which
have a click
firefly
beetle?
you're looking at?
All right, we're going to go ahead and go to Jonathan. Who's got some interesting things.
All right. Yeah, I've got 2 moths that have visited at least. We have what I believe is a curved lined looper. I'll spin this around, which is a pretty common one that I find here in Black Mountain, at least. Oh, got a slug moth here. just noticed that one. Really cool critter. Hope it can get in focus here. The slug moths are pretty cool shaped. I'm not really good at small moths that are dark colored, but there's one.
There are quite a lot of them.
Yeah. You got this one over here. Again, not an expert on that particular one. There's another. There's that sort of white patch in the middle, I'm sure is a pretty good ID characteristic. And then this is one I do know, the lesser maple spamworm moth. Kind of a light, really pale green. Really looks white unless you take a good look at least to my eyes. And you can see the marks along the front margin there, pretty distinctive. There's another one that just landed, really interesting shape. Not sure about that one. Maybe Chris knows that. We've got a believe a grass veneer here. Just looking at what I'm sharing, you really do see the diversity of shapes and sizes and all that business. I'm gonna head to the back side. I see a larger moth hanging out. Okay. I knew that one. I don't know it right now.
You know, there are 3,000 moths in our state, so we can't know all of them, and it's hard to remember them from year to year. So
I know 2,900, I think. So these ones are just the ones I don't know. All right, here's another big one. Oh, so cool, camouflaged.
that one looks like one of the
other than
prominent.
that, I've got a lot of. Yeah. And then the last one I'll share is right here, this little guy or gal. And that's what I've got here in Black Mountain for the moment.
All right, thank you. And up next we have Melissa. I think she has something interesting to share.
Yeah. So over here in Pittsburgh, we have our first Hercules beetle. You can see he actually put your finger up there for scale, Mike.
Yeah.
Look at that. Okay. Get an idea of the size. He's a pretty big beetle. He's probably about 2 inches long. This is a male. Mike knows this because
the horns.
The horns are longer on this one than on a female.
Yeah, the female doesn't have the big horns like that. And a female hit me in the forehead the other night when I was doing this. And it hurts.
Yeah.
They're very erratic flyers.
Uh-huh. And so this is the species that has a larval phase in the soil for...
In hollow logs and sawdust, in usually hardwoods like oaks and hickories. And somebody, when I worked at the botanical garden, brought these giant grubs in and didn't know what to do with them. So we raised them, and we raised one up, but some got hit by parasites.
Mm-hmm.
But the grubs are humongous.
And they can take more than a year to develop into the adult beetle, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Well, these are very cool, and we're lucky to have them out here.
Yeah, beautiful beetle. And we got a whole bunch of really small moths here, and then some other non-moths. This is something Mike identified just recently here. These little guys that are floating around are parasitic fungus gnats, which who knew there were such a thing? And a number that we haven't identified yet of smaller moths on the sheet right now.
A lot of tiny stuff.
Yeah, a lot of small ones, but a couple that are a little bit bigger, so you may be able to see better if my camera will focus on them.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah.
Yeah. But feel free to pass along to somebody else if they have some other interesting things, Jennifer.
All right, thank you. We're going to go to Cindy.
Nicely done.
Okay, this is really hard to see. It's and what we did is we captured it and we took a photo of it. And then I'm holding Bronwyn's phone and trying to show it on my phone. So not ideal, but iNaturalist says it's a Ailanthus webworm moth. I'm probably pronouncing it wrong. It's a long, narrow moth with bands of like orange and white and black. It's very interesting looking. Here. And we have a lot of we have a hornet that's really driving us crazy too.
Sorry, what did you say was driving you crazy?
A hornet of some kind.
Ah,
European hornet.
yeah.
All right, thank
They're
you.
fun like
We're going to go to Julie, who's got some interesting things. Julie?
Here I come. Okay. Okay. This really pretty geometer moth here. You see that?
nice.
With that, yeah, that line right through the middle. And then this like flat-headed mayfly. Oh no, where'd it go? Uh-oh. I forgot to bring my bug boxes. Oh, here it is.
That's fun.
See that? Yeah, those big black eyes. I wish I could zoom in more. And then I had, oh yeah, the beetle. It's right there. Okay. It came up as a mealworm beetle. Does that sound right, Chris?
It looks similar to a mealworm beetle, at least. I mean, there's a whole bunch of species in that group, so.
Pretty big. Okay. And there's a pretty lacewing, a Neuroptera. Lots of mosquitoes out tonight. Oh, and these teeny tiny little beetles. I have no idea what all of these are.
There's a bunch of small species of beetles that live in grass. Are you on grass?
Yep.
Yeah, it looks like that. Yeah. I get that at my house too, where they crawl out of the grass and then they're just all over everywhere on the bottom of my feet.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't get this when I do it at home. All right, well, I'll just leave you with the geometer moth. So pretty.
All right, thank you, Julie. Adam out at Yates Mill.
All right. Can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
Cool. I'm going to situate there we go. We have a caddisfly. Sorry, I was slightly distracted because a wasp landed on my hand while I was holding my camera. So we have caddisflies, which look very similar to moths, but they have longer antennae like this. We're also sitting next to this yellow jacket, this little guy here. We got some cool flies, these little midge flies here. What did you just throw? We have a grasshopper hanging out with us too. There's all kinds of stuff right here. And then if I can, I'm gonna try to show our hornet friend. We can do this without escaping. There we go. European hornet. I'm not terribly worried about it stinging us or anything, but it's just a very large insect flying around our setup. Yeah, we're having some good luck out here.
Awesome. All right, so now we're gonna go back to Cindy.
Okay. I don't know if you can see. It's an emerald moth of some kind. We don't know which one. It's pretty pale, sagey green. Ah.
I love the emeralds. They're beautiful. I mean, they're kind of subtle, but they're really, really beautiful.
All right, thank you. And we're gonna go back to Paige.
Okay. I've been trap lining. And so we have I think it's a geometrid moth here. One of the things that I noticed was like it's this beautiful silvery color on the underside of the wings. But when you turn it over and you look at the back, you really there it goes away. It had a lot of the camouflage aspects. And so one of the things that I was wondering about as I show off the next big guy to get on my cloth was how moths figure out like the right thing to land on, the right surface that matches their coloration, if they have a way of identifying or remembering or detecting like the right thing to land on so that they're actually camouflaged, which I haven't had time to look up. So if we have any moth experts on this call or anything, would love to hear.
That is a great question. I have never actually looked that one up myself. So,
Chris, you said you had a few things to share.
yeah, I can share a few things. I don't have many moths currently, but I have a few other things. So this is a grapevine beetle. It's a type of scarab beetle. I don't know. I love them. They're fairly large. So here's my finger next to it. So they're a reasonably sized beetle. I just like the color, and they're very smooth. And then I have a few moths. I'm blanking on the name of this one right now. Unfortunately, I will look it up and come back to this one because I don't remember. This one. Moth. Oh, we got what?
I think it belongs to the crambid snout moth group, right? That's my new favorite group of moths ever. Yes, because of the name.
I think it is a crambid. I just don't know exactly which one. This little guy is very small. It's hard to see. Like here's my finger next to it, so you can see it's very tiny. This is a Suzuki's Promolactis, which is actually a non-native moth in our country. But they're really, really quite elegant. I mean, that's lovely colors. I like them. And then I have a few other things that are not moths. This is a leaf-footed bug. You can see those back legs look kind of like leaves, which is why they're called leaf-footed bugs. And then a few other non-mothy things. So here's another caddisfly. I know Adam showed one earlier. So caddisflies actually look really a lot like moths. They have hair on their wings instead of scales. So they're a little bit different, but they are pretty they look really similar. They look a lot like moths. And then I have this little moth, and I have no idea what this one is. And I need to look it up because it is a really interesting shape. It's very small. Hold on, let me see if I can get a better light on it. It's very small. Like this is less than 1/4 of an inch long, but it's got a really cool shape to it. So I need to look this one up and figure out what it is and come back to it. But I'm hoping I'll get a few other things here in a little bit. So if we have someone else we can move over to, that would be great.
Okay, Melissa, I think you said you had something.
Yeah, hey, I got a couple really fun ones. This one's a little far out of reach, but I think this is a tulip tree beauty, if I'm remembering the name correctly. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. But he's a relatively large one, and fairly common, at least around here. And then there's this other one that actually is in our light box that's just hanging out right next to the light. I'm not sure what kind this is, but I think it might be some sort of dagger moth, if I remember correctly. He's got a really cool green coloration. Unfortunately, my camera does not seem to want to focus when I get in really close, but you can see that kind of greenish color and some gray. Really pretty one that's hanging out. Whole bunch of other ones as well around that I'm not sure exactly of species right now, but this guy right here, And we've got another one of those grapevine beetles that Chris had, but you can see, oh, he tucked his antenna in. He had his little feathery antenna out for a moment, but now he's tucked them back in underneath his body. One more over here, kind of another slightly larger sized moth that I don't have an identification on yet either. So that's what I got here for now in Pittsburgh.
All right, thank you. Adam, I think you said you had something interesting. You're muted, Adam. All right, let's go to Jonathan. I think you said you had some things.
All right. So also have an emerald moth here. Not sure what species it is. There's also a few button slug moths, which is also not a species, but they're getting closer. There's a leaf roller. Looks like it's got kind of a torn wing in one part. I'm trying to get so you can see it a little better. Sorry, these are kind of out of focus. And I've got one little mystery insect, which I believe is a moth. It's small, and I hope that I can get you to see it. It's hanging out with these ones here. It's this little thing. If you see the white moth, it is right next to it. It's white and black striped, and it like I've seen some grass finier moths. Its head is sort of on the sheet, and its rear end is pointed way up in the air. I'm sorry, I can't get any better footage of this weird thing than that, but I'm going to try to get a picture with my camera later and put it up. I also have a crane fly here. Look like some people describe them as big mosquitoes. Ant has come to say hello. I'll take a quick look at the back while I have you all, and then I'll turn it over. Yeah, I think Chris, you mentioned white spotted prominence. There's two of those here. I also have this really cool beetle. Another beetle. There's a really cool moth there. Maybe a geometer, I do not know. Here. And I think I've shared the others with you.
All right, thank you. We're going to go to Melissa, who has something.
Is there two?
There's two. Yeah. So I'm using Mike's phone because the camera works better out of Zoom. So you're watching a screen of a screen. But you can see on the bird feeder we have two flying squirrels right now that are eating our bird seed. Let's see if we can get any eye shine for you. Not really. They're looking down right now, but they've been climbing out the wire from the tree, and then they hang onto the bird feeder, and they're light enough to get past the little squirrel trap.
Yeah, the gray squirrels can't do that, but
Yeah.
these flying squirrels are light enough; they can do it.
Yeah, let me try it like without the other camera too. See what you can see. Get as close as I can with my arm reach. So one above the other on this side of the bird feeder.
Maybe better over here.
Sure.
From this
Yeah, I'm going to
angle?
come from the side.
Yeah.
Okay.
Watch this. Yeah, it's better.
Yeah.
Side.
Oh yeah, there you go. Nice squirrel side view.
Those are so cute.
I know, right? They're like the most adorable mammal out there. Even though they eat the whole bird feeder full of seed every night, it's totally worth it.
Yeah, I would be totally fine with flying squirrels eating all my seed. Do you get to see the squirrels often, or is this kind of a rare thing for you?
They come to our feeder quite often now that they found it and they know they can get seed, and Mike keeps it very full for them. You know, it's hard to keep them away, really.
So they're standard squirrels, basically.
Yeah, basically, just cuter, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you let them eat it. Those big dark eyes, I mean, they just look like adorable little creatures. Can't really make out their patagium, their skin flap as well when they're on the feeder like this, but certainly if they jump off. Well, Mike, can you pull the feeder in closer? Is he out here?
I could.
I bet they'll run, but will you try it? Are you okay with that?
Yeah.
Hang on just a sec. We're gonna, the feeder's on a pulley system. We're gonna pull a little closer and they may run, but we'll just see, you get to see what you see. Oh my God, this is amazing. Here they come. Hello, little squirrels. They're very
They're
cute.
so cute.
Oh yeah, here we go. This is what we're talking about right here.
Uh-oh.
Oh,
There you go. Whoa, boy, look at him go.
here. I just wanted to widen it.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
Close enough?
Oh my God, my hand is about 2 feet from the flying squirrel right now.
He's quit eating. He's watching.
Yeah, the other one ran the wire while I was messing with the light, but yeah, he's wary. So if he goes, we'll get a view.
You can see his skin flap.
Yeah, you can on the side.
Whatever. I always forget.
Hey, dude.
Patagium.
Patagium. Oh yeah, now my hand's like a foot away.
Fall over.
I'm about to fall off my deck.
But all for science.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You see his big wide tail that he uses to steer himself when he's gliding. And of course, they can't really fly. They don't flap. Oh yeah, bringing it in closer. Okay. Here we go. I could touch this guy if I wanted to right now. Holy crap.
He's beautiful. Look at him.
I
Are you actually holy crap on science?
don't know. Oh, wait, flying squirrels fluoresce? No way, Mike, go get a UV light. We have UV
Yeah, they
lights.
do. They glow pink.
Oh my God. All right, we're going to test this theory in just a second.
Yeah, we have a small mammal researcher on site who had a UV light, and their bellies will glow like neon highlighter pink.
Oh my God, that's amazing. We're definitely trying that. We do have some UV light here. Oh, and now he's just going to go back to eating? Like, he doesn't care. He's literally a foot and a half, like 2-3 feet from my face. Oh, he's so cute.
Clearly, your seed is quality.
Black oil sunflower seed.
Yep.
Oh my God, look at that little face. Okay, flat slates down, black light only. No, she said it's their belly. She's got a researcher. Yeah. Yeah, try it on the inside there.
Some bugs back.
Can't really see it because he's hiding his belly so well.
Yeah, I don't see it.
Need him to climb out on the
Bugs on his
wire.
back there that are fluorescing right by the base of the tail.
Yeah, there's something up there that's fluorescing on his tail. Oh, I can see a little bit under his armpit. Under his front right armpit. There's like a hint of pink maybe.
Yeah, I see. And there's some actually back here towards the back leg.
On the
Yeah,
tail.
on the
too.
tail, yeah.
On
Yeah.
the base of the tail.
Yeah.
the base of the
Oh
tail,
my
you see it. Fluorescence from this angle.
Yeah, let me come around. Oh yeah, oh my gosh, yeah, totally. You see that heart, the like brighter glow right behind its back foot. That the color from for us is definitely pink. Probably close to his cloaca. Do you use that word with mammals? His hole.
Yeah,
That's where all the bolts do.
Uh-huh.
Oh,
Wow. That is so cool.
Oh,
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess.
So fun.
Well,
did you see
There he is.
is this a squirrel program or what?
it's on the tape?
Yeah. I think that's
Oh,
some, yeah, that's some seed that he has stuck to his fur right there.
Look at him. So see, this is what's every night when I come out.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I'm about 6 inches from his face right now.
You remember that one?
Well, team,
I love that
I
he just
mean,
doesn't care.
yeah, we could do this all night. If you have other moths you want to show, like, go for it. But we do have a flying squirrel 6 inches from my phone.
We have to have our squirrel break. You know, we can do the up thing. Squirrel.
Yeah, right. Here, wait, let me show you. Here's the scene of what's going on here. I'm literally reaching over the deck, my whole arm length, and we're all standing around staring at this squirrel, and he's totally fine with it. My arm's getting tired though, so back to the moths.
All right, thank you. That is really, really cool. I've never seen a flying squirrel, so that was really awesome.
Yeah.
Paige, I think, has a few things.
Yeah. So one of the resources that we have for Science Across North Carolina is the Moths cheat sheet, which has been invaluable to me, knowing very little as I do about moths. So it's my new favorite thing to catch a moth. For example, I found this guy. He's very pale gray, and he was on a pale gray cement wall underneath the light. And I like to play match. So I know without knowing the species that this is a plume moth because of the way that his outline matches, as Chris was saying in the introduction. And then I have this beautiful tiny little guy who's he's like a white brown, but kind of a rosy orange that doesn't come across well on the camera. And somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but that posture with the butt sticking up is one that I associate with the Sphinx moth, or Sphinx moths, excuse me. We have the Sphinx gas station here. Is that accurate?
It could also be a slug moth. They like to hold their abdomens up in the air as well. Yeah, that to me looks more like a slug moth, because the Sphinx moths tend to look like fighter jets. Like they've got really, I don't know, very streamlined wings. And that one looks a lot more stout. So I think that might be a slug moth of some sort, but it's cool.
Fantastic. Okay, so the last one that I want to play identification with is this big guy, and I say big because he's about the size of my first thumb joint. But kind of looking at the way that he's holding his wings, I wasn't sure if he was a tiger moth or something else entirely, just kind of that profile. So one of the cool things with this guy, and I don't know if it's going to show up, so I'm going to try turning off the pavilion lights to see. As moths have eye shine, which is really freaky when they're the big ones hitting your screen windows at night. And in my experience, most of them, the big ones, have a red eye shine, but I don't know the mechanics of that. And it's not really showing up on the camera at all, unfortunately. But if you guys have an opportunity to do this at home, like take a really close look at the moths on your screen doors and look for their little beady red eyes.
All right, thank you. We're going to go to Julie.
Okay. So I just found a tiger moth. Isn't that gorgeous? Delicate Cisnea moth, a type of dogbane tiger moth. And there's a ton of dogbane here at my parents' farm. So now, oh my gosh. Okay, the biggest moth of the night just showed up. If it would just sit still. Okay, let's keep looking at that. Wow. Okay, well, there's a lot of these really big white specked moths, which are apparently an agricultural pest. They're a type of armyworm moth. Found in the, oh wait, where are they? Woo. Yeah, I found like 4 of those already. See the white specks on the, I guess the top wings there. Oh, where'd that really big one go? Oh, it didn't land. All right, well, what else did I have?
We do get the white specks in North Carolina too.
Okay.
I haven't seen one yet this year, but they are definitely here.
Yeah, there's a lot of them here. Oh, there's the beetle I wanted to talk about. An oriental beetle, sometimes confused with the Japanese beetle, but kind of a mottled metallic back. Is that right? An oriental beetle?
Oh, I'm not good with my scarabs, but it's
okay.
pretty.
Yeah, it's a match on iNaturalist. Native to Asia.
What are you doing? Oh, over there. Okay.
Oh, Atlantis webworm. Yeah, okay. And a lightning bug. Did you all see one of those yet?
Yeah, we saw one of the ones that Paige shared from the mountains.
All right. Oh, another 2 spot. And let's see the big one. Oh, Chris, do you know what this beautiful white one is?
Oh, I feel like I should. It will come to me in like 5 minutes. But that kind of clear, like that really thin, clear wing is definitely something I recognize.
Okay. I'll look it up. I didn't get a chance yet. Oh, here's the Atlantis. Woo-wee. So pretty.
Oh, that's nice.
All right. Well, yeah, I'm finally getting a lot of things here. So I'll list some more and you can come back to me in a bit.
All right. Thank you, Julie.
Yeah.
We're going to go to Cindy.
Okay, so what is this first one? Is that the angle? Common angle. My images are nowhere near as good as Julie's, but and then that one is, you remember? Clover webworm or clover. You wrote it down. No, I didn't. All right, we don't know what that one is. And then what? And then we have a soldier fly. And what's
common angle?
That's another common angle. What's that one?
There's another worm, something worm.
Something worm. Oh, we're pitiful. All right, that's it.
I think that one might be a green cutworm. That last one.
Okay.
Clover one.
Oh,
the first
okay.
one.
All right. Thank you. Anyone else have something interesting? Jonathan, do you have anything to show?
Well, it's really just the same cast of characters here at the moment. I think I got one of the singles as well. I'll listen ahead and enjoying watching these. So yeah, I'll let you know if I've got anything else popping in.
All right. We're going to go to Chris.
All right, I've got a few new things here. I got this guy here, which I want to say is a dart. I don't remember exactly which dart though. I need to look this one up too. This one's, I don't know, maybe 3/4 of an inch. So not giant, but not tiny either. And then down here, I have a black bordered lemon, which is really nicely named because it's yellow and has a black line along the base of the wings. Oh, and this dude just flew in moments ago. Another this geometric moths. So this is the type of moth that inchworms turn into. There's a whole bunch of species of them. But anytime you see those wings kind of out like that, you're looking at, well, not every time, but a lot of times you're looking at a moth that started out as an inchworm. And a lot of these eat tree leaves. So they're not necessarily pesty, but they do eat leaves. And so some people don't like them, but they're pretty cool. And I have a few other things, but I think Adam has some interesting things too. So we'll move over to him and I'll move over to one of my other lights in a moment.
All right, let's go to Adam.
All right, we have, oh, give me 1 second. Okay. We have a couple things up here. We have some stink bugs, and then this is a leaf-footed bug featuring one of its leaf legs or leaf feet. So we have that guy. We have another one that's actually missing both of the leaf-footed legs. There's a cockroach flying by. Oh, the moth. We've had several moths flying in and out consistently. But of course, right now, once y'all switch over to us, they fly away. Oh, here, and is there one on you?
You hit me in the face. Oh, that's a rosy maple.
Right
There's a rosy maple.
This is a tussock moth. Not sure which one, but it's one of our tussock moths. And there's this guy right here. Not sure which one that is. There's a yellow jacket right by your hand. Right here. A little yellow jacket.
Oh, rosy maple.
Rosy maple moth. There we go. Rosy maple moth. One of my favorites. A lot of people's favorites.
Who's that guy?
And then the one we showed earlier.
I have my headlight.
Okay.
Oop.
There's an underwing moth. I don't think my audio was working for the last time. So there's an underwing moth, one of our larger moths, and the underside of the large wings are bright red on this one. So it's one of my favorites. They're really cool.
All right, Adam, thank you. I think we're going to go to John. Oh, I love those rosy maples. We're going to go to Jonathan.
All right, so we got a stonefly over here. It keeps jumping from side to side. So I'm hunting it down right now. Now it's proving to be very elusive. The stoneflies are one of those insects that start their lives off underwater as a nymph, and then hatch into an adult with wings. That's not here. So there you have it, folks. I'll let you know if it shows up again. Oh, there it is. Okay. Oh. It just crawled back over to the other side of the sheet. There it is. It's hanging out on the top. I don't know if you saw it was just flying around there. I'll see if I can get this other side. And if not, we'll just go on. You know, he seems more interested in flying around than sitting still. So I'll let you know if he settles.
All right, thank you. Let's go to Melissa.
Hey, we got another really cool beetle here. We got this Triceratops beetle that Mike has grabbed, so you can really get a sense of size. It's smaller than the rhinoceros beetle. Here, hold him up next to the rhinoceros. I mean, then the Hercules beetle, sorry. He looks like a rhinoceros with that horn.
Yeah.
So the Triceratops on the left and the Hercules beetle on the right, but they're both pretty big. And we've also, I know a couple folks have had them already. We got a leaf-footed bug here as well. And then just one of the many, you can see there's lots and lots of moths, but a really cool one right now that Seek just told us is called a white satin moth. Hard to light him because he's so bright. He's solid white. Sitting on the railing of the deck here. Kind of a floofy head, and all white body and wings. So cool, few cool things from Pittsburgh. All right, who's next?
All right, thank you. We're going to go to Paige, who has a knot moth.
I have like the world's tiniest little moth potential predator down here. He's very cleverly holding very still, hoping that I won't see him. But we have a baby wood frog right here. Was heading across one of our little meadows to get to another light and happened to see him flinging himself out of my way. One of the things that we found with our moth programs when we stage a light is that we'll get an American toad or two hanging around waiting to pick off anything that comes within reach. And I know I personally have porch toads, but I haven't seen a porch wood frog yet. So it's kind of nice to have a little meadow guy with me. And on to the light.
All right, thank you. Julie, I think you said you had a few more moths that appeared.
Ooh, yes, let's see. The splendid palpito moth. Let's zoom in on that one. Okay, I'm going to show you the picture I took. Or better yet, I'll show you what it looks like there. A snout moth, ash pyralid, or ash leaf roller. And we also have the beautiful banded tussock moth right over here. Oh, and I forgot to tell you that my setup is a halogen bulb. And I thought it was broken because it wouldn't start right away, but it was really just my power source. Okay, so the banded tussock moth is the type of tiger moth. Like many tiger moths, it has a chemical defense it acquires from its host plant, which have alkaloids. But I don't know what its host plant is. Woo. Really pretty pattern on the wing. Does anybody know the host plant of the tussock moth? No.
There's another species that looks almost identical to that one. That's the sycamore tussock moth, which they're hard to tell apart. That one I know eats sycamore at least.
Okay, and here's a cute little juniper stink bug.
I have quite a few of those on my sheets as well.
Oh, do you?
A whole lot of them.
Not too exciting, but they're cute. All right, yeah, that's all I've got that's new.
All right, thank you, Julie. We're going to go to Jonathan.
Okay, so got the stonefly. Took a cue from a few of my colleagues here and brought out a container. So aquatic insect. This is the adult. It's got two, call them tails, or I think technically caudaled cerci. And I believe this is the golden stonefly. It's seeing its back right now, or its belly. There's the wings there. And while I've got you, I don't know what these are. I believe they are moths. This is this one on the electric cord right here. Maybe a grass veneer because they look kind of funky like that, but you can see it a little better now than moving it. And then this is the weird little black and white one that I saw earlier, almost kind of mosquito-like. Again, hard to get close or focus. And then everybody else is just kind of hanging out with me. And that's Black Mountain.
All right, thank you. Chris, what do you have out at Prairie Ridge?
I have there's another one of these grapevine beetles, but I have one of the clover worms. I know Cindy showed us one earlier, but here's another one that's on my sheet on the other side of Raleigh. So I think these are kind of fun. They their host plant is clover, which it's not surprising given that it's in their name. And then I have this little guy over here, which I haven't looked up yet, and I don't know the name of off the top of my head. This is another one of those crambid moths that Paige was talking about earlier. Some of these crambid moths have aquatic larvae, which is really cool. I love that there are aquatic caterpillars. I don't know that this one is. It probably is not, but I like this group just because it has the aquatic larvae in it, and they're pretty fun. And then I have this little guy that just showed up. Sorry, making you motion sick here. This is a grape leaf folder moth or something very closely related to it. They feed on grapes or the leaves of grapes. I always think they've got a really nice shape to them. A little bit unusual as far as your kind of standard moth look. And then they've got this little guy with the snout. Might be this. Whoop! Percy just flew away. It's the hazard of holding a phone really close to them. And then here's another one of those geometer moths, the ones that the inchworms turn into. It's a number of different species on my sheet at the moment. I have one on another sheet, if you can bear with me walking to the other side of the walkway here for a moment. Apologies. Moving with my phone is not the very best thing. But I don't know why I really love these. This is a wainscot moth. And I love the texture of them. They look like corn husks. Like if you've ever eaten a tamale, I feel like that's what these look like they're wrapped in corn husk. And this one's I don't know, a little bit between 1/2 inch and 3/4 of an inch. So medium-sized moth, not really big or impressive, but I kind of like them. I think they're fun. And then I have a bunch of like little things. I had no idea what this one is, but it's got some nice texture to it. A little bit hard to see, but it's got like bumps all over it. You can kind of see them there a little bit. So this one's got some kind of funky texture to it. No idea what that one is. It's very small. And then I have this larger. Oh, hold on. I did have a larger geometer that flew away. So I'm not going to be able to show you that one. That's the hazard of black lighting. You don't always get to see everything exactly when you think you're going to get to show it off. I think that's what I've got right now. I just saw that Jonathan has something that we can take a look at. I've got a few other things we can look at after Jonathan's done as well.
Yeah, Chris, I don't know. I believe I know what this is, an ichneumon wasp. I don't know much about that. So
that
is
share
awesome. Anything.
Those are they're parasitic wasps. So even though they look really scary because they have that super long abdomen, they are not harmful to people at all. They are laying their eggs inside larvae that are usually inside plants. So things like beetles that get into trees, like those wasps will lay their eggs inside of those larvae inside of the tree, which is a really pretty cool system. So they're drilling down through like wood and heavy plants to get to those larvae that they want to parasitize. They're really awesome wasps. They look scary, totally not harmful to us at all.
Well, thank you for sharing. That is so awesome. I think it might be a little camera shy. It just moved its way over.
Well, you are shining a big bright light on it in the middle of the night, so
that's a good point.
That was awesome looking.
Oh,
let's go to Cindy.
Can you go someone else? I'm not ready.
Okay. Anybody else have something to show?
I have something my naturalist says might be a carrion beetle.
Okay.
Oh, nice.
So I'm not sure.
Oh, yeah, it is. That's awesome.
Okay, so
Yeah, Mike,
so I'm
what is the
curious.
one that Kennedy's kind of look like that has the white spots?
Oh, the
Grapevine leaf roller? Holder?
There's one of them down here. Yeah.
I also have, you guys might have these starting up in your neck of the woods. So I've got a katydid on here. So sing the song of your people.
I can hear quite a few of them in Raleigh tonight. There's loads of them calling where I am.
Brilliant. I eagerly await them here, and I'm ready. If anybody else is ready, they can hop on.
All right.
Hey, sorry if I interrupted earlier. I think I was unmuted accidentally, but I was looking at this cool beetle, longhorn beetle here.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I think it's a Prionis, maybe.
Creonis beetle.
Maybe.
It's a translucent
Yeah.
carapace on those wings.
But
How
yeah,
big
for
is that?
sure.
Like
Now
inch and a
beetle
half?
next over here.
Yeah, it's about an
little
inch and a
weevil,
quarter.
yeah.
Yeah, and the tiny weevil right next to us. Yeah, so finger for scale there. And then we also have grapevine leaf folder
Yeah.
up here with the white spots and the black and the tail sticking out. He's a crambid too, right, Chris?
I think so.
Crambid family. And then there's
Yes.
a really cool one. Need a taller person,
Oh yeah.
but there's this really cool looking one. Unfortunately, I can't zoom in.
Does it have like a yellow leading edge?
But
on the
yeah,
wings?
I can't
It's
quite
like
tell.
peachy
Yeah. Oh, that may be
orange
this,
on the leading edge of the wing.
Cynthia, something like that. I think.
This is a really pretty one, kind of subtle coloration.
Yeah, I think that's what it's called.
So,
CY and
and then a whole bunch of oh, look at my messy basement. A whole bunch of these little guys.
They're Canada melanophila, something like that.
Yeah, it's really just my messy basement.
There's
that
a
you
lot
can
of
see
them.
there.
There's
Sorry.
a lot of them.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
There's one that's not on glass.
That's been common for the past couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had one on my my sheet earlier, but it is gone now. So I'm glad you have one so we can show it
Oh,
off.
wait, what's this guy right here? This is a cool one.
Oh,
Don't know that one. Pretty subtle color.
They're pretty.
One little spot on each wing. We can go check the other white light down here. What you got down here?
Not much tonight.
It looks kind of crambid like too.
Another one of those.
Yeah.
And one of the,
Ooh, that one's got a cool
I
head.
think that's one of the grass tube blooms, I believe.
Yeah. Cool. Ooh. Well, feel free to switch over if anybody else has got something exciting.
All right. Let's see. Cindy, do you have anything? Or Paige? Cindy.
Yeah, let me try. Which one is this?
Yes.
Chalcedonian midget. Is that the right pronunciation? Chalcedonian midget. Okay.
I
and then
think that's right.
mocha. Is that the mocha? That's the mocha. And then that's the, wait, where's the grass tube worm moth?
That's the same.
The grass tube worm moth is there. We're taking photos because that's about the only way we can show what we've got. That's the grass tube worm moth. Okay, that's it for me.
All right. Paige, do you still have something?
I do. And this is, if you like me are learning about moths as you go, this is one of the moths that was just going in circles over and over, like throwing itself at the wall, at the light, at me several times. So I managed to catch him, and I naturally suggest, well, now that I figured out how to use that and zoom at the same time, that it's a purple lined sallow, and the coloration is just really beautiful on him. He's got this kind of russet color along the outside of the wings. But, you know, we were having a conversation before our moth programs about why some moths just go absolutely bonkers around lights. And that was just one of our generic lights around a building. It wasn't a UV light. It wasn't particularly powerful. It just seemed to have a very particular effect on the moth. So I thought that might be a question other folks have had too.
All right, Chris, what's going on at Prairie Ridge?
All right, hold on. Let me switch my camera back around so you're not staring at my crazy hair that's getting more and more sticky-yatty with the humidity. So I have this little guy. I don't really know what this one is. I need to look this one up. Hold on. Yates has a really awesome thing, so we should switch over to them and we can come back to me.
All right. Adam?
All right, we have an imperial moth. This is the largest moth we've seen. I think if I put my hand near it, it'll fly away, but I'll give you a second to look at it. There we go. There's hand. So it's a large moth. If I remember correctly, the males have a lot of purple and the females don't have a lot of purple. Someone can correct me if I've got that backwards. This would be a lot of purple, so this would mean I think this is a male. Another fun note is I have never heard a moth hit the ground as hard as this moth has hit multiple times. This moth is flying recklessly tonight.
Completely ran right down.
So I'm surprised it's not stunned or anything, but it's really big. Here's my hand for reference. Oop, there we go. Oop. And it's still got its energy. It's still buzzing around. But that's our biggest thing tonight.
That was beautiful.
So I actually have these little golden guide books for butterflies and moths that we use for our programs. And they actually have a page on imperial moths. So the females don't appear to not have purple on the the outer edges of their wings, but the males do. So thinking more purple is accurate. But it was cool to learn this week, that if you see that purple on the outside of the wings, you're looking at a male.
Right. There it is back in Becky Yates Mill.
They're just so beautiful. I mean, it's hard to describe how amazing those moths are. They're huge, they're gorgeous, they fly really lovely. I mean, and they're like dive bombing when they hit, like you said. They make noise, like so much noise.
And they have some of the best caterpillars out there. Don't forget that fact.
Oh yeah.
They get pretty big. They're like our second biggest caterpillar after the hickory horn devil. And they can come in like 4 different colors. They can be green or brown or like a reddish brown or a bright red, which I've never seen and would love to. And they get to be what, like, I don't know, 6 inches long. And they're kind of hairy and spiky. So cool.
Yeah, that moth is also on the logo for International Moth Week. We haven't seen the moth on the NC Moth Week patch. It's the giant leopard moth. I'd love to see one of those. I haven't seen one yet this year.
Oh, I just got something really big flying in, but let me wait till it lands before I try to show it to you.
All right. Cindy, did you have something?
Oh, I just have a moth in my hair, but I can't show it. So.
Okay.
So actually, I have a question with the mention of the leopard moth, because I had, sorry, I'm blinding everybody. I had a program participant who showed me a video of the cedar siding of her house that had a leopard moth on it and just a bunch of other moths, including imperial moths. And they leave the outside window like lights on at night, but it was just such a thick congregation of moths, and beautiful moths too. Is there something possibly about the cedar that was helping to draw them in, or just the extra light?
That is a good question that I do not know the answer to.
what I love
I
about
think-
nature is you always leave with more questions.
I think generally cedar kind of repels insects, like cedar chests and so forth. So I don't know. That's interesting. Maybe it's just a really great spot for moths.
It seemed like it. It was a TikTok that she had sent everybody, and I was like, I would that were where I live, but it wasn't.
All right. Chris, do you have anything out of Prairie Ridge?
Yeah, give me a second to go back to my sheet. I'm still hoping this very large moth I saw, which was like imperial moth size, it was huge, will come back. It has not landed yet. But I have a couple other things. Hold on. Let me see if I can get to them here. So I've got this little guy who's not super exciting. This is a yellow striped army worm. I mean, their pattern is spectacular, but they are, brown, so they kind of blend in with everything really well. You see a lot of these. These are super common. I don't know what this little guy that just flew in is. That's another grass veneer of some sort. There's a bunch of different species of grass veneers, and they live in lawns. So we have a pretty fair amount of grass at Prairie Ridge, as you might suspect from our name. We've got other things that are not moths on the sheet here. So this is another little beetle, one of the scarab beetles. And then I really love these plant hoppers. They're just so green, and they're I don't know, they're just fun. These are sap-sucking insects that sit on plants and just suck out juices out of the plants. So they're pretty cool. And then I've got this tiny little guy. This one's not very big at all, but I just like the stripes on it. So most moths are very small. They're in a stink bug just blew in and knocked it out of the way. So these moths that I'm showing you, these are tiny. So this one's less than 1/4 of an inch. So they're very, very small. And so most entomologists divide the moths up into micro moths and macro moths. So the micro moths are numerous and they're hard to identify, unfortunately. But there's quite a lot of them. So I know someone was asking earlier about finding 10 moths if you want to get your badge, and whether they have to be different or not. They do not have to be different, but I can just tell you that there is no way you're not going to get 10 moths if you turn on a light and just wait for a little bit. Like I've got probably 30 species here. Some of them are small and unimpressive like this little guy, but it's really easy to get 10 species of moths if you want that glow in the dark moth patch that we have available. Well, let me see if I got anything else here, because I felt like I had something that was buzzing around. And we've got some parts of the country they call these June bugs, these little brown scarab beetles. This one's probably half the size of that grapevine beetle that I showed you earlier. And then I'm trying to get a hold of that big moth, so I'm still looking for that. But I think Melissa has a few things to share. So I'll pass it over to her.
Yeah, I got a cool slug moth slug moth here. It is holding its abdomen up through its wings. Chris, any idea why these guys do that? We're wondering, but it's a common behavior. Yeah. This one is a yellow shouldered slug, and hang on, we'll go over to Mike's camera where you can actually see the picture of it better. And you can see how it's holding its abdomen up there. It's got a really cool crisscross pattern on its wing too.
I do not know why they do that. It's pretty standard. Like that's something you can look at and tell that you're looking at a slug moth a lot of times.
Yeah, yeah, no, it's weird.
That really helps.
Yeah. And again, on the caterpillars, slug moth caterpillars are the ones that look like little helmets. They don't really have like the same, the legs and the prolegs that are visible in the same way as kind of the typical caterpillar. They're kind of reduced and underneath their body, and they look kind of like a slug, which is, I guess, why they're called that. And most of them have some sort of stinging spines on their body, some of which are really painful, like a the post moth caterpillar, which is the most painful one we have around here. But the yellow-shouldered slug, this guy, he doesn't really have much by way of spines, if any, on his body as a caterpillar.
Not big visible one, anyway.
Yeah. So
cute.
Yeah. And if you need another dose of cuteness, we have some flying squirrel activity again on the feeder. This guy's actually moving around a little bit right now. He was up on the wire a moment ago, but we missed our opportunity to blacklight his belly. They're feeling a little shyer though. They're on the backside of the bird feeder now.
Got a couple rows in there.
Yeah, there you go. Flying squirrel cuteness. And yeah, we also have, I think somebody else has shown these once or twice, but we finally have a rosy maple or two around at this point. Just such a beautiful, colorful moth.
I like that even though we're in different places, you can see that a lot of these things are kind of repeats that, we're finding them in Pittsburgh, in Raleigh, several different places.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's pretty cool. And I mean, just also like taking a step back, I mean, the huge number of tiny micro moths that are attracted to these lights too, like no idea what any of them are, but there's just so many, and they all have such intricate patterns on them. If you take a closer look, it's amazing. Look at this guy. Hey, his antenna, I don't think you can see it on my camera, but his antenna are as long as his body, actually longer than his body. Just crazy. Chris, did you get your big moth to land yet?
Unfortunately, he flew into the woods, or probably she, and has not reappeared, but I'm hopeful that it will come back because it was very large and buzzed my head. It's very obvious that it was there.
Yeah. Oh, and then, yeah, Mike's got a cool picture here of, this is some sort of a hopper, a plant hopper.
Very weird looking.
Yeah, it's like very big. Like that's about 1 inch long.
That's a cool one. I like the pattern on the body there.
Yeah. Very strange.
Yeah, we've seen them before out of the lights, which is the only reason I know that it's a hopper, because we identified it once, not even knowing what group it was in to begin with.
I think Steve Hall identified it for us. I had no idea.
Yeah. So. Yeah. Anybody else got anything cool?
All right. Paige said she has the world's biggest harvestman.
So I'm actually excited about this one because I saw him earlier, and it's hard to give you a sense of scale when there's just the two hands. But to me, he feels like a pretty big harvest man. And the cool thing is he's eating something. And I have no idea what it is. Yeah, it looks like almost like a caterpillar of some kind, but I can actually see his mouth parts moving as he's trying to consume it, and actively consuming it, actually. He's not trying, he is. So I just wanted to point that out to you guys because he's big harvestman that I've seen.
Yeah, some of those get really, really big.
Jonathan, is your spider that big?
No, not at all, actually. It's pretty micro. But I was wondering if anybody else might have some to mention that we're also going to have NC Spider Search October 23rd to the 29th. So very similar situation where we're looking for people to go out and explore and find spiders. So I don't know what this little one is right here, but being very opportunistic, taking advantage of the light, bringing things in like our amphibian friend we were talking about. But it's been pretty quiet. Everybody's just kind of hanging out and not a whole lot of things moving in.
So I'm curious what the weather's like at some of these other places. What's the weather like in your place?
This one, it's probably mid 70s. It's pretty humid though. It was hotter earlier, of course, but very, very humid. Not any wind at all, which is helpful for this activity. Of course, we're all looking at the same moon, which is kind of competing with us a little bit tonight if you've got clear skies.
All right. Who else has something that's appeared?
I have a cool moth if we'd like to share.
Sure.
This is a type of cricket. It's pretty big. It's running away. So that was a quick look at a cricket. But they, I think it's a tree cricket. And a lot of tree crickets do this really cool thing where they'll basically chew a hole in a leaf, and then they'll call and use that hole as an amplifier, which is a pretty amazing thing for an animal to do. They're basically making their call louder so that things can hear them further away. Just really pretty cool. I love it when, it's basically making a tool for itself. And that's not a thing that every animal can do. So it's pretty awesome. And so I'm trying to find one other moth that I have here. This is a tube worm of some sort. I need to look this one up. But it's a pretty cool, kind of drab, not super exciting one, but I just like his shape because he's got kind of this snout sticking off the front. It's very compact. Like this is just it's very flat on the sides, but then a little bit wider, if you're looking at the actual side here. But I just saw that Jonathan has a really cool moth that we need to look at because it's one of my favorites.
All right, let's go to Jonathan.
Yes, one of my favorites too. So we have a Hebrew moth, and it is supposed to look like Hebrew script. I believe that's the origin of the name. It's probably the star of the show right now. It's kind of high up, so I'm sorry if I'm not aiming very well. Let's see. There we go. Can you see it pretty well?
Yeah, I love the pattern on there. They're just so beautiful. And they're not very big at all, but they're stunning when you take a good look at them.
Absolutely. All right. Anybody else have anything cool?
What's going on at Yates Mill?
We have a Datana moth right here. It's a decent sized one, about the size of a thumb. Right here. And then there's this guy on the ground back here. Well, where'd it go?
Green arches.
Green arches right here.
Those are so pretty. I really love those.
Imperial has been hanging out, just chilling. So we still got a good side of this one. We have
This one and then this
Ooh.
one.
I don't know how well this will translate, but this one is like extremely like iridescent, shiny. It's not probably not popping up very well, but this little guy's very iridescent. That's really cool. This one's also pretty iridescent too. If I step back and look, you can see all the little dots all over this mat here. There's a lot, and there's even little flies, more leaf-footed bugs. There's another one of those webworm. There's another moth over here. What do we got? Oh yeah, little guy right here. I don't know what kind. Cool little moth. Yeah, we're doing well. We got lots of little critters here.
Oh, the Batman moth.
That apparently that one popped up as that Batman moth. I don't know if that's anyone want to verify that as the name.
A green cutworm moth.
Is this a Batman moth?
I mean, I know there is a Batman moth. I don't remember which one it is, so I'm going to take your word for it. I saw that in a book at one point. It was like, that's the best name ever.
There's a green.
Okay, we'll switch back to y'all so I can switch to my my big camera and I'll get some good pictures of it.
All right. Paige, I think, has something interesting.
Yeah, this is a new one for me. This is apparently a fish fly. When I first saw it, it was coming to the ultraviolet light, the black light on the cotton sheet, and I thought it was a Dobson fly, but the mouth parts aren't quite right. And it was very large and flying around, and similar to the Imperial, making noise. When this one hit me in the back of the head, you felt it. Apparently it's a male based on the feathery antenna, and it's probably the summer fish fly, which Wikipedia quoted as the most well-known fish fly. Wikipedia, I've never heard of this before tonight, so okay. But yeah, I mean, for comparison, he's, about 2 inches big. So have you guys heard of this before? It's definitely a new one for me.
I mean, I have, but that's my field.
So yeah, I'm gonna let him go, but wanted to share that so everybody else who doesn't know can know.
So fish flies have aquatic larvae that are amazing. They look like little centipedes, kind of. They live under rocks in fast flowing water. So if you ever have a river that has some like decent sized rocks in good flow, if you flip them over, you'll frequently see the larvae for those. They look really gnarly, but they're very cool, predatory as larvae, and so they'll eat all the other insects in a river that they're in there with. They're pretty amazing.
Yeah,
but they are very closely related to the Dobson flies too, which is why it looks like a Dobson fly.
That makes me feel better, because I was thinking in my head as I was catching it, I've never seen a hellgrammite in our creeks. You think I would have seen one by now, so
yeah,
I'll look out for their larvae.
They call all of them hellgrammites, the larvae for the fish flies too, usually. Are called hellgrammites. So
I need to do better next time. Look more closely.
It's awesome though. So excited that you have one.
All right, we're going to go back to Yates Mill.
Okay, we're looking at, I believe this is the Virginia sphinx moth. I know it's one of our sphinx moths. I think it's the Virginia sphinx moth. I recognize most of our sphinx moths being fairly large, but this one's kind of small. I know we have other ones like walnut sphinx moth and some other ones. So if anyone knows the which sphinx moth specifically, feel free to chime in. I love sphinx moth. They're one of my favorite types of moths.
I think Virginia creeper sphinx moth.
Oh, Virginia creeper. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, because they feed on Virginia creeper as caterpillars.
That makes sense.
A lot of the moths are not very creatively named. They're named after the plants that the caterpillars eat a lot of times.
Chris, I'd love to hear some of your favorite moth names.
Oh, I like what I call the adjective moths. They're in the owlet group of moths. I think they just ran out of names. So there's like the boyfriend and the penitence moth and the cheerful moth, and it's just all these like adjectives tacked onto the word moth. And I just think
I think it's a friendly
really
moth,
funny.
friendly parable or something. Yeah, those are great.
Yeah,
I know there's an agreeable tiger moth.
I just love them. Yes.
It makes
them
you wonder
sound
what
so
you have
friendly.
to do. So what would you have to do to qualify as a disagreeable tiger moth?
I don't know. It might depend on who you are, because I think all tiger moths are pretty amazing. A lot of tiger moths, I know Adam was saying earlier, have toxins. So they've got like some coloration that will tell you that they've got some toxins in them. So they're not so great for a lot of things to eat. But there are tiger moths too that have this really cool, I don't know, it's basically like a acoustic jamming system for bats. So they have a call that they can do, like a sound that they can make that confuses bats that are coming after them. And there's some really great videos you can see online that I would highly encourage you to look at, where you can see this bat going after the moth, and then the moth makes the sound, which they've sped up because it's so fast we can't hear it as humans. But the bat totally misses the moth when it's making this sound, because it's basically making clicks that interfere with their sonar, their navigational system, which is just amazing to avoid being eaten. That imperial moth is just so beautiful. My big moth has not come back, unfortunately. It was so big, and I really, really wanted to see it.
We are swarmed with the little ones right now.
Well, that is pretty normal, honestly.
Oh yeah, this is an
there
easy
are
way.
a lot more little moths than there are big moths.
Yeah, little beetles. Those little flies. Another one of those. We have a leaf-footed bug with one of its leaf-footed legs, and then I haven't seen the other one. We have another leaf-footed bug. Oh, here it is. A leaf-footed bug with no leaf-footed legs. But it's still doing its thing.
I have quite a few of those tonight, so glad other people are seeing them too.
Got some neat flies. Like flies are underappreciated. We got some cool ones out here.
So I'm curious if anyone has a favorite moth that they'd like to share. I know I have a hard time narrowing it down for myself. But does anyone have a favorite moth? I mean, I have one that I consider my favorite, but
since I'm already on, I'll start. Early on, my favorite insect when I first was learning about any of them, I had a book of insects, and it had the Pandora Sphinx moth. And that was my favorite. It has been my favorite for a long time. It's one of the first scientific names I ever learned. Pandora Sphinx. They're gorgeous, very intricate green pattern. Similar, related to the Virginia creeper sphinx. So similar shape there. But yeah, the Pandora Sphinx has been my favorite. It was kind of like my gateway into insects, being one of my favorite animals.
I have a few things I can show if people want to keep talking about favorite moths. My favorite moth is an ester moth, which is maybe not a very beautiful one. It's kind of a boring brown, but I really like them. And I don't know, I just like their shape. They look kind of like the other geometer moths, the inchworm moths, but they're really pretty cool. I just like them. When we have someone that has specifically asked to show off a katydid. Does anyone have a katydid at their site? I have not seen one tonight.
I'm hearing them, but I'm not seeing them.
Yeah, I'm hearing a lot also.
I apologize.
Chris, I was
muted.
I have katydids on my computer. Not at the moment right now, of course, but I've had them crawling all over periodically throughout the night.
We're just providing ambient salamander footage here.
Excellent. It's like our ambient squirrel footage.
Chris, I would imagine salamanders don't predate moths frequently, right? They go after more of the stuff that's closer to their level.
I don't believe so, but I feel like Jonathan would probably know better than I do because he has a lot of salamanders at his place and they talk about them a lot more than I do.
Yeah, I think if salamanders could climb, glass with the great tree frogs, they might be. Certainly see plenty of great tree frogs performing that act, but and hanging out by lights. I don't know if salamanders are much of a predator. It's a great question. I love that you got to see one tonight and share it.
Yeah. We usually see a lot of them, so glad I got to share them with everybody. I'll leave them be now.
I think, Chris, my new favorite moth is the peach borer moth. I don't think that's the full name. I think there's maybe another part of it. I was doing an event at Beaver Lake in Asheville last weekend and got to see one of those. And I knew that there were such a thing as moths that mimic wasps, but I'd never seen one before. And when I saw that one, it was like, okay, that's exactly what that one is. Sort of like those hummingbird clear wing moths had a clear wing on it. Colors you'd expect a wasp to have. It's pretty cool.
Oh, we got a question about, are katydids and cicadas the same? They are in two separate groups, actually. So the cicadas are true bugs, and the katydids are in the grasshopper katydid cricket order. So two separate orders entirely, but they make sounds in about the same time of year. So you tend to get them kind of together, but they are not in the same group. So a little bit different. Has anyone else seen ladybugs at their lights today? I keep seeing a bunch of them.
No, none here in Black Mountain.
Ditto over here in Highlands.
I have a cool spider if we want to look at it.
Yeah.
Percy keeps running away. Hold on, let me see if I can get him back on camera here. He keeps running. This is a crab spider. There we go. I just think they're fun. They have really long front legs. The first two pairs of legs are really long. They tend to kind of scuttle around side to side, have this kind of crab-like motion. It's pretty cool. He's not very big. That whole spider is maybe 1/4 of an inch long. But I do have a few other moths. Here's one of my ladybugs here. So this is one of the non-native Asian multicolored ladybugs. You can tell because he has that W on the thorax and no black along the sides. And then I've got another one of these. I think this is a Canadian melanophila, or however you say it. Like Melissa and Mike shared earlier. And I got this one little cool slug moth over here. And I don't know what type it is, so I need to look this one up. He's got just a really nice shape to him, and I like a lot. So very, very tent-like body with those wings. Paige has got some interesting things though, so I'm going to turn it back over to her.
Yeah. I've got a little Hebrew moth down here, and with the headlight glare, it's hard to see that black and white marking. But it is pretty beautiful and does look script-like. And then in looking, because this is directly underneath my black light, I was looking and I happened to notice a black butt sticking out of here. There's a big old black abdomen, very shiny, underneath the bark of this hemlock. And I don't want to peel it up to see who's under there, but I didn't know if anybody might have any ideas. I mean, the abdomen is about the size of my pinky nail. So large for a general beetle, but not as large as like the Hercules beetle. He's pretty well tucked up under there.
Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to tell what it is. That's seen a little more of it, but cool find. That's one of the things I love about, when you start exploring, when you turn on lights and you start looking at things and you look around a few other places, you start seeing so many other things. And it's just such a great way to see a lot of species in a really short amount of time, just by kind of wandering around and seeing what you can find.
I have one of those large crambid snout moths here. And then the katydid.
Ah, there we go. There's a katydid.
Not sure why he's over here, but here he is. And then the infinite amount of micro moths. But I did have, so we were talking about the slug moths and that curled abdomen.
Yeah.
So here's one, and then the other one from earlier is also doing it. So
it's such a fun behavior. I need to read more about them and figure out why they do that, but it's just really cool to see.
Could they be trying to look like buds or twigs?
Definitely a possibility.
Everything else here is pretty small, so if anybody has larger stuff that might focus better, feel free to jump in.
Well, we
I
are
just
actually... Oh, good.
So sorry, Chris, go ahead.
No, if you have something else to share, go ahead and share it really quickly.
Oh, I can't find it. It was one of those ones that looks like it's wearing a cloak. You know, that like the wings are like drapey and they curl up at the end. And of course it flew away right as I was about to get it on the camera. But they're so cool looking. So that was what I was going to show you, but it is no longer to be found.
It happens. Well, we have actually reached 11 p.m. So does anyone have any last minute things that they want to either say or any last species they want to share? I don't have anything new that's come to my light. My big moth is still not here.
I had a second Hebrew and tried to bring that into view. Hopefully somebody was able to see that. But yeah, they're those little moths are kind of tough to show all those details. But I just really appreciate everybody being part of this.
Yeah, I have.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining us tonight. It's Friday night. We know there's lots of other things you can do, but we appreciate your taking the time to hang out with us and look at some cool things in various parts of the state and other states even.
We'll wrap up with this really large cricket. Probably one of the biggest crickets I've ever seen. We've had them flying at our faces throughout the night. So here you go. Not a katydid, but a close relative.
He's actually... I think the hardest part is going to be getting all these guys off the sheet before I can fold it up.
The trick is shaking it really well before you fold it up.
We got a big one. We got a big one. It's another imperial, we think.
Yes, it's got to be an imperial. He's on my leg.
Yeah.
Need him to land. One more big one. Come on, dude.
Nice.
Well, stop.
You can see him fluttering, yeah.
Yep.
Definitely an Imperial. Good enough view now to know.
Cool.
Oh man.
Well, that gives me some hope that maybe the big one I saw is going to be an Imperial too.
Yeah, the biggest we've had before is a tulip tree silk moth, but this guy, this is awesome. Hope he lays some eggs. She.
Well, I think that Imperial is an excellent one to end on. Thank you all so much for joining us tonight. Like I said, you have lots of other options of things to do tonight. We're happy you hung out with us to look at some moths. Please consider going out the next few days and photographing some moths, sharing them on iNaturalist. We would love to send you that glow-in-the-dark leopard moth patch. Again, you just have to take 10 photos of any moths you see, submit them to iNaturalist, and then go to scienceacrossnc.org and fill out the form on the moth event page, and we will send you the badge in the mail.
I'll do that.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Have a really great night. I hope you enjoy the next few nights of National Moth Week. And we'll see you potentially at a future program, either at Prairie Ridge or online. Have a great night.
Thanks, everybody. Thank you, Chris.
Good night, everyone.
Thanks.